Welcome to Talk Tensors. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into some really interesting machine learning research.
Great to be here.
So today we're tackling a paper that, well, it tries to chart the course from what we currently call generative AI or GenAI towards something new, innovative AI.
Yeah, inAI. It's a fascinating distinction they're drawing.
It really is. Basically moving beyond AI that just generates content that looks real, like text or images.
Right, things like GPT-4, DALL-E, we've all seen them.
Exactly. Moving from that to AI that can, genuinely create new ideas, solve problems autonomously. That's the core idea we want to unpack.
And it's critical, right? Because the paper argues that while GenAI is powerful, it's fundamentally based on recombining existing data, like a super advanced remix artist.
A remix artist, I like that. So it's rearranging known pieces.
Pretty much. Whereas innovative AI, this inAI concept, it's aiming for genuine originality, actual conceptual leaps, thinking outside the box it was trained in.
Okay, so what's the roadmap the paper lays out? How did we get to GenAI, and what needs to happen next for this inAI?
Well, it starts by acknowledging the, frankly, incredible progress of GenAI. Transformers, VAEs, JANs, these architectures are amazing at producing content.
Text, images, code, music.
All sorts of things. They even mention specific applications like using GenAI for smart grid communication, which is pretty neat.
Okay.
But then it shifts focus pretty quickly to the limitations. And that's where it starts building the case for needing something more, something like inAI.
And these aren't just small issues, are they? We're talking fundamental capabilities.
Exactly. The paper lists several key ones. First, GenAI can't really redefine problems on its own. It needs us, humans, to give it a prompt, a specific task.
Right, it doesn't question the question.
Precisely. Human innovators often start by challenging assumptions, reframing the problem entirely. GenAI doesn't do that autonomously.
Okay, what else?
Second, that dependence on training data we mentioned. It's great at interpolating, mixing, and matching patterns it's seen, but creating something genuinely novel, something fundamentally different from its training data, that's still a huge hurdle. The paper references older work on computational creativity, like Bowden's, to make this point.
It's like it knows all the existing colors but can't invent a new one.
That's a great analogy. Then there's limited contextual understanding and reasoning. They can sound fluent, but deep logic, consistency, factual accuracy, that's still often lacking.
Yeah, we see those hallucinations sometimes.
Right. And another big one, integrating different types of information, multimodal integration. Most models are specialized text or images or audio.
But real innovation often connects ideas across domains, right?
Exactly. Synthesizing insights from visual data and text and maybe sensor data. That seamless cross-domain thinking isn't quite there yet.
Got it. So GenAI is powerful, impressive even, but it's fundamentally constrained by its data and the problems we set for it.
That's the core argument.
So how do we make the leap? What does the paper suggest for getting to this innovative AI? What's the research focus?
It points to a few key areas. First, autonomous problem formulation. This is huge. Getting AI to identify and define important problems itself.
Oh.
Maybe using things like reinforcement learning by trial and error, or Metalearning, which is basically learning how to learn better. So the AI gets rewarded for finding good problems, not just good solutions.
Interesting. What else?
Enhanced multimodal reasoning. Building AI that can truly understand and weave together information from text, images, sound, data. All of it, seamlessly.
Okay.
And then fostering AI-driven cross-domain innovation. Explicitly designing AI to look for those unexpected connections between fields, like what can biology teach us about network design kind of thing.
So if GenAI is the remix artist, what does inAI look like? What are its defining features according to this paper?
Well, innovative AI is positioned as the next evolution. It's about generating ideas, methods, processes that are not just new, but also useful. That usefulness is key.
Okay, useful and new. What else?
Creativity is still central, but maybe framed more as AI augmenting human creativity, pushing our boundaries. Novelty and usefulness are criteria, obviously. Impact is another. Does the innovation actually make a difference?
Makes sense.
And importantly, they also include ethical considerations, value generation, does it create real value, and feasibility and viability. It can't just be a wild idea. It needs to be potentially implementable.
So it's a much higher bar than just generating plausible text.
Absolutely. It's about generating things that are fundamentally different, valuable, and maybe even things the AI thought up itself.
The paper does mention recent progress, right? Things like ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion. are these early signs of inAI.
It acknowledges them, yeah.
Yeah.
It talks about how these powerful models are being used as creative partners, enhancing human work.
Like helping with brainstorming or analyzing huge data sets.
Exactly. AI helping generate ideas, solving parts of problems, even helping overcome human biases or limitations by seeing patterns we miss. It also mentions the impact on design thinking, needing new processes to leverage AI.
So progress is being made in using AI for innovation.
Yes, definitely. There's talk of artificial creativity for original computer outputs and augmented creativity through human-AI collaboration. And applications are popping up: patent analysis, material science, drug discovery.
Oy no Rome, I sense a butt come in.
Yeah. The paper emphasizes that those fundamental limitations we discussed earlier still largely hold.
Still struggling with autonomous problem finding.
Right. And deep multimodal understanding and those mechanisms for truly open-ended cross-domain leaps, making those unexpected connections, that's still the frontier.
Okay. And the paper ends with specific research directions.
It does. It lays out 8 broad areas, things like autonomous AI creativity and problem solving, the enhanced multimodal systems we talked about, AI for cross-domain innovation.
Controls probably in there too, making them reliable.
Yep. Improving AI steering and controllability. Also ethical AI development, trustworthy AI, using AI in organizational innovation, strategic foresight, and taking transdisciplinary approaches. It's a pretty comprehensive list.
So, stepping back for a second, how does the paper place this whole GenAI to inAI idea in the broader history of AI?
It kind of sees AI history in stages.
Yeah.
You had early rule-based systems trying to encode logic, then machine learning, learning from data. Deep learning really turbocharged that, leading to the current GenAI wave.
Which feels like a huge leap.
It is, and in some ways, GenAI achieves some early AI dreams mimicking human output, like conversation or art. But the paper argues it's still fundamentally mimicry, not independent thought or creation.
And it cautions against overhype, like previous AI winters.
Exactly. It suggests that unless we tackle these core limitations, the reliance on data, the lack of autonomous problem framing, we might hit another plateau. Progress towards true innovation requires something more.
So the main takeaway is shifting focus from generating content based on what exists
To generating genuinely new ideas and solutions, potentially driven by the AI itself. It's a shift from replication to creation.
What about the real-world impact? If we actually get this NAI, what changes?
Oh, the potential is massive. The paper hints at AI proposing novel scientific hypotheses that humans haven't thought of, designing completely new technologies.
Wow.
In industry, you could see innovation cycles compressed dramatically, major breakthroughs in R&D becoming more common. Of course, there are huge ethical questions, too, about responsible development.
Absolutely. Okay, this has been super insightful. Let's pivot to our novel notions segment. Based on this paper, where could future research go that's maybe a bit out there?
All right, novel notions. Well, thinking about that limitation, the AI needing us to define the problem, what if we tried to build, let's call them curiosity-driven AI agents?
Curiosity-driven, how would that work?
Instead of just rewarding them for solving a given task, you'd build in a reward mechanism for, like, exploring a problem space autonomously, finding and formulating interesting or novel questions.
So reward based on the quality of the question, not just the answer.
Exactly. Maybe drawing on ideas of intrinsic motivation. Imagine an AI not just tasked with protein folding, but incentivized to discover entirely new types of biological problems worth investigating. That could lead to breakthroughs we can't even predict.
That's a cool idea. AI driven by a need to understand, almost. Got another one.
Okay, how about this? Building on the cross-domain idea, what if we developed a meta-creative AI?
Metacreator.
Yeah, an AI trained not just on data within fields, but on the history and patterns of innovation itself, across science, art, tech, everything.
So it learns how breakthroughs happen.
Right. It would try to identify abstract strategies or principles that lead to game-changing ideas. And the key part, it could then try to apply those meta-strategies to completely new domains.
Well, could patterns from musical innovation inform materials science?
Precisely. Could it find an analogy between, say, the development of perspective in painting and a new approach to designing algorithms? It's about finding those deep structural connections across fields that humans might miss. Requires crazy advancements in abstraction and multimodal learning, though.
Those are definitely novel notions. It really drives home how exciting and challenging this journey from generative to truly innovative AI could be.
For sure. This paper does a great job framing that journey, highlighting the potential for AI to become less of a tool and more of a genuine partner in creativity and discovery.
A fascinating prospect. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. For those of you interested in reading the paper yourselves, we've put a link in the description below.
Definitely worth checking out.
Join us next time on Talk Tensors as we unpack another piece of cutting-edge machine learning research. Thanks for listening.